Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. Today is the last day of the Comedy of Errors. So we've got one more monologue to go, and it is from the Abbesse in Act 5, or Act 5, Scene 1, if you want to call it that. And we're getting to the whole wrapping up of everything. We had Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse run and hide in an abbey, and then the abbess wasn't going to get them and bring them out, so Luciana and Adriana and the courtesan all sort of pled their case to the Duke, who was parading past Aegeon, who was arrested in the first act because he's from Syracuse and we're in Ephesius and they don't like each other. And so Adriana pled her case, and the Duke was going to go get them, but then Antipholus and Dromio of Ephesius show up, and everybody's like, wait, we saw them run into the abbey, and they're like, no, you didn't run into the abbey. And we got those conversations that we've already had several times in the play where people are trying to figure out what's going on, and Antipholus of Ephesius told us that he's having a really weird day. But then Antipholus and, or somebody goes in to find the abbess and Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse, and Aegeon turns to Antipholus of Ephesius and Dromio of Ephesius. He's like, but aren't you my son? Don't you recognize me? And they're like, no, we've never heard of you, and I never met my father, and I'm not from there, and all that sort of thing. And Aegeon is really upset by this. But then Antipholus of Syracuse and Dromio of Syracuse and the abbess enter from inside the abbey, and everybody's like, whoa, there's two of them, this is craziness, what's going on? So we get to go through the whole, who had dinner with me, that was me, not me, which one of you is my husband? And Antipholus of Syracuse is like, that wasn't me, but Luciana, still got my eye on you. And they do all of this sort of thing, and the abbess goes one step farther, and she looks at Aegeon and says, your name is Aegeon, right? And you used to have a wife named Amelia? Because guess what? My name is Amelia, and I had twin sons. And they're like, oh my goodness, it's the whole family brought together. And then they figure out that during the whole shipwreck thing, when she and Antipholus and Dromio, who would become of Ephesius, were picked up by a boat from Epidam. That boat was then attacked by a boat from Corinth that took the two children but left her. So she was brought to Ephesius, where she went to live in this abbey. Those two were brought up in Corinth. They eventually later on moved to Ephesius. And Antipholus of Syracuse, like when he came outside, he was like, Dad, is that you? So they all get to have their happy reunion, and everybody's like, yay, this is fantastic, and here's the chain that you were supposed to have, and the courtesan gets her ring back, and Antipholus of Syracuse, who now has the bail money that he had stashed away, he's like, I want to use this to pay my dad's bail, and the Duke is like, no need, I pardon him, it's fine, whatever, move on. And the abbess says, renowned Duke, vouchsafe to take the pains to go with us into the abbey here, and here at large discourse all our fortunes, and all that are assembled in this place that by this sympathized one day's error have suffered wrong. Go, keep us company, and we shall make full satisfaction. 33 years have I begone in travail of you, my sons, and till this present hour my heavy burthen are delivered. The Duke, my husband, and my children both, and you, the calendars of their nativity, go to a gossip's feast, and go with me, after so long grief, such nativity. So she's happy, and she invites everybody to come have dinner in the abbey, and she invites the Duke specifically to a gossip's feast, and in this context, gossips could mean like godfathers, so she might want the Duke to become godfather to both Antipholuses, even though they've kind of outgrown that because they're like 33 years old, they're maybe even 34 at this point, whatever. But that's basically what it is, what this monologue is. She's like, everybody come into the abbey with me and we will feast because I've been without my boys for 33 years and here they are and they're back together. And the Duke is like, absolutely, let's go do this. So everybody except for the two Antipholuses and the two Dromios go in, and there's one more mistaken Antipholus. One Antipholus asks the wrong Dromio for something, and they're like, you know what, never mind. Why don't you two Dromios, you're brothers, spend some time together. Go hug your brother. And the two Antipholuses go inside to have dinner, and the two Dromios are like, so, how you been? Good. And they're like, which one of us is actually the older one. And what about that kitchen maid she was flirting with me, but I guess that's because she thought I was you, so you got that coming up, and whatever. And they're like, after you. And Dromio of Ephesus ends the play by saying, no, we shouldn't go in one in front of the other. We should go hand in hand together. So it's a lovely play that all wraps up very nicely and neatly in a bow. It's not necessarily a morally challenging play or an ethically challenging play or anything like that. It's a short, simple comedy with mistaken identities and mixed up props. And in performance, you could push it into farce territory if you want to push it into farce territory. Like, I think, to me, this play is just one that exists purely to entertain the audience, so the audience can have fun because they know all of the stuff that the actors or that the characters don't know. So it's fun to watch and see the things go wrong and laugh about it, and then you get all the warm fuzzies at the end when everything wraps up and comes full circle and the whole family gets to be reunited. Though it is kind of funny that we're doing this one right after Romeo and Juliet, which had the two warring families, and this is like two warring cities. But all of the stuff that the families went through in order to bring the kids back together, because remember, Aegeon had been searching for the last 7 years to try to find his other son, which is why he hadn't seen Antipholus of Syracuse in 7 years, which is why he thought he might be Antipholus of Ephesus. But all of these things that they went to try to get this one family back together actually sort of mended some of or potentially mended some of the ill feelings between the two cities when Aegeon gets pardoned at the end. So yeah, if you want to take a deeper meaning from it, you could say that this is the Romeo and Juliet where everybody doesn't die, though not quite, because it's not about stupid teenagers. It's about silly 33-year-olds who don't know how to communicate very well. But anyway, that's the Comedy of Errors. And tomorrow is new play day, and we get to start digging into The Merchant of Venice. So that'll be fun. And I've got a fun personal story to go along with that one for you. So I will see you tomorrow for that. Mwah.